mathematicians, this is Miss Johnson. I am going to continue to talk about converting fractions, decimals, and percents, and today we're going to focus on the decimal to fraction conversion. Okay, remember fractions, decimal, percents, they all represent parts of wholes, and so you can use a fraction, a decimal, or a percent to talk about any part of a whole. And the example that we've used before is the part of a dollar. So half of a dollar, 50 cents. 50% of a dollar, 50 cents. 5/10 of a dollar, 50 cents. That half, 5/10, and 50% all represent the same thing. So we need to know how to convert and change these things back and forth, really, to make the math as easy as we can for ourselves. Okay, so if you don't have the foldable, that's okay. You can just take notes in your notebook. But if you do have the foldable, we're going to go to the decimal to fraction fold. So you're just going to put your hands there and then flip up. And it should say decimal to fraction. There's actually two ways that we're going to talk about how to change a decimal to a fraction. The first way is just to say the decimal and then make it a fraction based on how it's said. So for example, this number right here, you say it 45 hundredths. 45 hundredths. So 45 over 100. Simplify it. Because you're in middle school, you have to simplify your fractions. You don't ever have to ask. So what number goes in a 45 and a 100? Ends in a 5 and a 0, so you know that 5 can go into both. So 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. So 45 hundredths is equal to 9 twentieths. 45 hundredths, right? 45 over 100. So that's way one. You just say the fraction, say the decimal, and then write the fraction to match. Okay. The second way is, because sometimes we forget our place value, right? So if that happens, there's another way for us to do it. So we put the number behind the decimal point as the numerator. So whatever it is, so this one is 375. So I'll put that in the numerator. Then I place a 1 in the denominator with the same number as zeros as the number of digits. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'll put 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay, so that's 375 thousandths. So 375 over 1,000. Okay, so 3 numbers, 3 zeros. Okay, all right, so simplify. Divide by 25. 375 divided by 25 is 15. 1,000 divided by 25 is 40. You can divide both of those by 5. So 3/8. So 3/8 and 375 thousandths are equivalent. Okay. When you have a mixed, well, I guess it's not a mixed decimal, but when you have a whole number in your decimal, remember it's the same as when we did fraction to decimal. Your whole number stays the same. So your whole number just comes over. You change your decimal to a fraction, and then instead of writing the decimal, you write the fraction. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this. It says convert these decimals to fractions. So we could do it either way. We could say 75 hundredths. So that would be 75 over 100. If we did it the second way, if we didn't know our place value, put the number behind the decimal in the numerator. You put a 1. There's 2 numbers, so you put 2 zeros. So 75 hundredths. So we can simplify. We can simplify by 25. And you think of your quarters, right? 75 cents would be 3 quarters, and then a dollar would be 4 quarters. So 75 hundredths is equivalent to 3 fourths. Okay, and then when I fold that down, I'm not going to see that. Oh well. So 22 and 48 hundredths. So I've got 22, that's a whole. So I'm just going to bring that 22 over, and then I got to take the 48 hundredths and make that the fraction. So it's going to be 48 over 100. 48 hundredths, right? You put the number behind at the top, then you put 2 zeros. So 48 hundredths. Can we simplify it? Yes, we can. I'm going to start with 4. I think it can be simplified by something bigger than that, but I can't think of what it is. So 48 divided by 4 is 12. And then 100 divided by 4 is 25, right? 4 quarters and $1, right? So 25. 12 and 25. So 5 can go into 25, but it can't go into 12. 2 can't go into this one. 3 can't go into 25. 4 can't go into 25. Well, the only thing that can go into 25 is 1, 5, and 25. So none of those go into 12. So that's our number is going to be 22 and 12/25. So 22 and 4, actually let's do this. Equals 22 and 48/100. There we go. Now, I do want to point something out about this way right here that I thought about while I was doing this. So let's say that you had, let's say you had 3 and 5/100ths. 3 and 5/100ths, right? So if you're using this way and you're not sure about your place value, you're not sure it's hundredths, well, your 3 is going to come over like normal. Your numerator, you're not going to write 0.5. Well, you would need to write 0.5, but we're going to have to switch that. And then you put the 1 and then 2 zeros, right? So this is not how we write numbers, right? We don't put a 0 there. That's unnecessary. But we have to make sure in our denominator that we put 2 zeros there because there's 2 values behind the decimal point, okay? 2 values that are necessary. So when we simplify this by 5, 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 100 divided by 5 is 20, right? $20 bills, right? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, so 5. So that's going to be 3 and 5/100ths is equivalent to 3 and 1/20. So I just wanted to point out that if you have zeros, you still have to make sure you count those when you put them as your fraction. Okay, so that's decimal to fraction. So there's 2 ways, and it's time for us to practice. So if you look up at the top, we have 5 practice questions. Now I'm going to want you to pause the video and try to do them by yourself. And yes, you're going to need to simplify. You can't just not simplify them. You're middle school, you have to simplify them. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, try number 1, and then unpause it and check to make sure you got it correct. Okay, so we have 65/100ths, so I'm going to come a little bit far away. I'm going to say 65 over 100. I see it can definitely be done by 5 because of the 5 and the 0. And I do not know what 65 divided by 5 is. So I have to actually divide it out. Oh, that's 13 over, I do know this one's 20. And 13's prime, so it's not gonna, there's nothing else that's gonna go into that. So 65/100ths is equivalent to 13/20. Okay, so go ahead, pause your video and give number 2 a try. Okay, so for number 2, I see I have a whole number. So I'm just going to bring my whole number over. And then I have 125 thousandths. So I'm going to put 125 over 1,000. Oh, almost just put 100. Remember, we've got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 zeros. Definitely going to simplify this by 25 first. You just think about your quarters. Okay, think about quarters. So if you have $1.25, that's 5 quarters. If you have, well, I just say 25 into 100, that's 4, and then 25 into 0 is 0. So 5 over 40. Can that be simplified again? Is there a number that goes into 5 and 40? Yep, 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 40 divided by 5 is 8. So 125 thousandths is equivalent to 1/8. So 5 and 125 thousandths is equivalent to 5 and 1/8. All right, hopefully you got that one. If not, make sure you erase it and then write what I have, okay? You don't want to leave it wrong on your foldable or in your notes. Okay, so number 3, 4/10. Oh wait, pause it if you haven't done it yet. Okay, now 4/10. 4/10. 4/10. Okay, one number behind the decimal, 1 0. Divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 4/10 is equivalent to 2/5. Go ahead and pause your video and try number 4. Okay, number 4, I see I have a whole number. I'm just going to bring that whole number over. And I have 8/10. 8/10. One number behind, 1 0, right? So divided by 2, it can be simplified to 4/5. So 6 8/10 is equivalent to 6 4/5. Okay, go ahead, pause the video and try numbers 5. Okay, number 5 is 24 hundredths. So it's 24 over 100. 2 numbers, 2 zeros. Divided by 4, right? I was thinking 2 first, but 4 can go into both of these. 24 divided by 4 is 6. And 100 divided by 4 is 4 quarters and 100 and $1, right? So that'd be 25. 6/25. 2 can't go into 25. 3 can't go into 25. 4 can't go into either one of them. 5 can go into 25, but not into 6. And 6 can't go into 25. So that's simplified. So 24 hundredths is equivalent to 6/25. And that is how you change a decimal to a fraction.